to the recipe for the day from www.kitchennewbie.com, and today we are making
stuffed and rolled meatloaf. You can get this recipe on www.kitchennewbie.com, and whilst you're there, why don't you have a look at all of our different recipes, techniques and ideas for the kitchen. So stuffed and
rolled meatloaf.
Well, I saw this thing on Pintrest.
Right.
And it was basically a rolled meatloaf. And in it had gherkins.
Yes.
Right in the centre was a gherkin. And one of our lot doesn't like gherkins at all. So we decided that we could do almost anything. So,
precisely, you can put anything in there. Yeah. Was it pre-cooked, the gherkin, or was it literally just a pickled gherkin?
To be absolutely honest, it looked like a gherkin.
Right.
You know, a raw gherkin.
Right, yeah.
But, well, actually it was 4 gherkins. They were next to each other to make the centre of the rolly thing.
But it looked quite pretty.
It did look quite pretty. And essentially, it was a layer of beef, which was beef mince, and then a layer of bacon with the gherkin at the end, and then a layer of onions, all rolled up and baked in the oven. And I've changed it a little bit and added a few
which you can do with things like this,
you
can't
can do almost
your
anything
own
to
taste.
it. So because you can now get our podcast on Alexa by saying, Alexa, show me podcasts for a recipe for the day, or something like that. So we're going to put the ingredients at the beginning, because increasingly people are going to be able to say to Alexa, or whatever it may be, find me a recipe for such and such a thing. So when you're in the kitchen wanting to know, you need to know your ingredients, don't you? So
of course you do.
So what we're going to need for this. And I've done 2 things together. We've got the actual stuffed and rolled meatloaf, and we've got a sauce for it.
Yes.
So you need 1 kilo of minced beef. It's quite a lot of beef, but it's going to feed 6 to 8 people.
Oh, easily. And you also keep a little bit of
just
your meat back to make
maybe
the
about
sauce.
75 grams of it to make the sauce.
Just to add a bit of flavour, because it's a tomato-based sauce.
Now, sausages of your choice. 2 sausages fitted on mine, because I didn't make a very big one. And they're
pork sausages.
Ordinary pork sausages, but you could choose chorizos, you could choose salamis, you could do almost anything you liked.
And if you had them, you could do some sort of quarters of courgette around the sausage.
Yeah, you could do almost anything you liked.
And this would make a nice sort of buffet type dish.
3 to 4 garlic cloves, crushed and chopped, really finely. 200 grams of bacon. And we're using up our old bacon from last week, so that's fairly good. A handful of chopped parsley.
Is it chopped, your bacon, or is it in rashers?
No, it's in rashers.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. And 1 chopped onion in rings. And that's it. I dare say you could do something like put cheese in it.
You could,
almost anything that goes. But that is your basic set of things. And what you have to do, first of all, keep everything cool. And in a big, nice,
easier to handle,
cool... Well, also, you don't want your meat to be warming up. It's not good for it. Mix the garlic and the parsley with your meat. Notice I'm not salting this meat at all.
No.
Because the bacon is salty. And the sauce later on is a little bit salty. So you don't really need to salt your mince at all, really. it's also wrapped so none of the juices can escape. So we'll come back to that in a minute. And then spread that meat evenly into a nice rectangle on some baking parchment. And what I did was I cut it square, and the bits that I chopped off, that was what I used to make the sauce with, basically. So that was fairly... now, on top of that meat, you put your sausages at one end, and then make a layer of the bacon over the rest of it. So you've got a nice bacony filling, and then on top of the bacon, you've got your onion rings.
Oh, yeah, that you slice.
That you sliced into rings.
Into rings, yeah.
And then basically use the paper to
like
roll
you do when you're doing
the
a
thing
Swiss
up.
roll.
Like you do when you're doing a Swiss roll.
So from the gherkins or the sausages,
whatever,
in
the sausage
end, upwards.
Yeah. What I found was I didn't make it quite long enough, so it just about overlaps. And so I'm hoping it's going to stay together. But I'm sure it will do. But even so, that's that done. And then I rolled it again, kept the paper on, and then I put 2 layers of baking foil on top of that, just so that I've got a parcel.
You didn't add any breadcrumbs, did you?
No breadcrumbs, no, none of that. No, because
meatloaf generally has quite a lot of breadcrumbs.
Yeah, but this is going to be really moist, and I wanted it to be particularly moist.
Cool.
And that's why I wrapped it double again, so that the moisture, the whole thing is basically going to be steamed in its own juices. I've not added any water to it. No. I've not added any other flavours.
Now, so far as your minced beef is concerned, minced beef can be quite fatty. Now,
I'm glad you said that, because I was going to point it out.
Because I'm not very keen on the very fatty minced beef. I like the one with the least amount of fat in, just because I don't like the smell of it.
Well, there's two reasons why I've done this. The first reason is I like a little bit of fat, but the other thing is trying to keep the thing as low cost as possible, because the minced beef, 500 grams of minced beef, was nearly £3. Yeah. But the other one, that was 5% fat. So we've got some maths here. I bet you can't work it out. The other one, I got 500 grams of beef at 20% fat, and I mixed the two together. That was a lot cheaper. It was only £1.90 something. Right. So what's my final percentage of fat?
25%.
No, it's not.
Why? What did you say?
Because the first one is 5%.
Right.
The second one is 20%.
Right. So but you're diluting it, aren't you?
Yeah.
So it will be less than that. Yeah. It will be more like 15%.
It's 12.5%.
12.5%.
Because 5% of 500 grams is 25 grams. 20% of 500 grams is 100 grams. So we've got 125 grams of fat in a kilo. Yeah. So that's 12.5%.
Ah, right.
So it's quite good, that, isn't it?
Yes, well, you've been thinking about that forever.
I've been doing it all afternoon. Yeah.
I've just been put on the spot right now. I didn't do so bad. I did realise I thought it wouldn't be 25%.
So anyway, that goes into an oven, 180 degrees, 350F, gas mark 4, and it's about an hour. Yes. And we're going to have rice with it, aren't we? We're going to have.
Well, we have a choice of couscous or rice, so I'll just when it comes to the time, we can just choose.
Well, it went in at 4:45.
It only takes
so
minutes.
It's coming out at about 5:45.
Which I think it'll be best to rest it for a while.
Yeah. But also, I'm going to check the temperature, make sure that it's really cooked properly.
Because there's a sausage in the middle.
Because there's
you could put a chorizo in the middle.
You could, and that's either cured or we make our own cooked chorizos, don't we? So, but whatever. We make sure the whole thing is really well done. And besides that, it's wrapped up. It's not going to burn.
No.
So if you did it for an hour and a half in the oven, it wouldn't make any difference. You could do it
slower, couldn't you? Because is it 180? Did you say?
180, yeah.
Gas mark 4. That's 350. You could actually lower the temperature
and do it for as long as you like.
Yeah.
It's worth experimenting with.
It is.
And it's also worth, I was just thinking as we were talking about it.
So it might be worth taking it out of all the packaging.
And leaving it
and then leaving it to
crisp
up. Because I love it when, I make a meatloaf in a loaf tin. I take the covering off the top and you get that crispy top, which is my favourite part.
I'm just so nervous about it being together and that it's not like a pile of meat, basically. because it's going to end up, if it falls to bits, it's going to end up like a strange chili con carne or something.
I wonder why it would though.
But anyway, we'll find out when it comes.
Meatloaf
and we'll photograph it up, and it can go on there.
And if it's all coming falls apart, you can call it a special chili con carne with sausages in.
Now for the sauce, I've kept back about 75 grams of the meat. Now you don't have to do that if you don't want to do. You could use beef stock or chicken stock or
just tomato sauce. Make a tomato
sauce. And well, essentially that's what I've done. For it, I've got about 75 grams of the beef, 400ml tin of tomatoes,
canned chopped tomatoes,
half a teaspoon of oregano, 1 crushed and bashed till the end of time garlic clove, a little bit of salt, and a splash of Tabasco, and then a good tablespoon of tomato puree, just to richen the whole thing up. Because when I pour this sauce over the beef,
well, I would do it when you've served it and you've served everything. I would put the sauce on there.
Exactly, that's what I mean. But when I put that, I want it to be unctuous and not like not like a a tin of tomatoes.
Well, I've checked it now, and it smells and looks gorgeous, and it's very thick now. So
now, in terms of costings, this is serve. Well, let's say they'll serve 6 people. Definitely will. It's going to cost about 80 pence per portion.
That's cool.
Which is really, really, really cheap.
For something that's going to look quite special.
And is special, and will definitely taste special.
And you could make it with other herbs if you wanted. You could add flavourings to it. You don't have to add garlic if you don't wish. You could add lots of.
Well, there was kind of half tempted to add some Chinese 5-spice to it.
Could make. I was thinking you could make it into a Chinese style.
Very, very easily. Yeah,
and then you could put, a bit of pork fillet down the centre with 5-spice on, so you get that hit of Chinese 5-spice coming through in the centre.
So there you go. It's stuffed and rolled meatloaf. In actual fact, it's not one recipe. It's a million recipes because you just make it up yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Recipe for the Day podcast. We hope to see you sometime at www.kitchennewbie.com. Kitchen Newbie is a kind of online cookery school which hopes to help people new to cooking, and you will find lots of easy recipes and techniques. So, why not pop down and have a look? We're new, there's lots to do, but we'd love to see you just the same.